I never thought I'd be sitting in my living room at midnight, staring at documents that proved my own son had been systematically destroying my life. But there I was, hands trembling so badly I could barely hold the papers, reading words that shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. Bank statements showing withdrawals I never made. Checks with my signature, except I never signed them. Property transfer documents with my name forged at the bottom. And worst of all, a handwritten letter from Tim to Nicole, dated 6 months ago, discussing me like I was nothing more than an obstacle to their bank account. The words blurred as tears filled my eyes, but I'd already memorized the most devastating part. Once we get her into that facility, the house and money are ours. She'll never know what hit her. My mother's too trusting. It's almost too easy. My mother's too trusting. My son wrote those words about me. My son, who I raised alone after his father left us when Tim was 5. My son who I worked 2 jobs for, putting myself through exhaustion and poverty to give him a good life. My son, who I put through college while eating rice and beans for dinner, because that's all I could afford. It's almost too easy. I set the papers down on my coffee table, next to the blue velvet box they'd come from, and tried to remember how to breathe. This couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of mistake, some misunderstanding. But the evidence was right there in front of me, impossible to deny. Let me back up. Let me tell you how I ended up here, because even now, sitting in the wreckage of my life, part of me still can't believe this is happening. It started this afternoon at the Corner Bistro, a little cafe I'd chosen because they were having a lunch special. I've been trying to save money lately. My bank account seemed lower than it should be, though I'd been chalking it up to my own forgetfulness. Silly me, right? Turns out I wasn't forgetting anything. Tim and Nicole had suggested lunch, which surprised me. They'd been distant lately, busy with their important careers and important lives. I was just grateful to see my son, even if Nicole would be there with her designer handbag and her subtle criticisms of everything from my outdated cardigan to my choice of cheap restaurants. The lunch was uncomfortable from the start. Nicole kept making these pointed comments about my memory problems. How I'd supposedly forgotten Tim's birthday last month. I didn't. I sent a card and called him, but he claimed he never received either. How I'd been confused about bills. I wasn't confused. My utilities company had made an error that I'd caught and corrected. How I'd left the stove on twice. A complete lie. But Nicole said it so sweetly, with such manufactured concern, that the waitress actually gave me a sympathetic look. Tim just nodded along to everything she said. My son, who knows me better than anyone, who should have defended me, simply sat there and agreed with his wife's lies. Then Nicole started talking about Willowbrook Senior Living. She had brochures, actual glossy brochures that she pulled from her purse like she'd been carrying them around, waiting for the right moment. It's such a wonderful facility, Maggie, she said, using that sugary tone that always made my skin crawl. You'd be so much happier there, properly cared for. You wouldn't have to worry about anything. I'm not worried about anything now, I said, trying to keep my voice light. I'm perfectly fine in my own home. Are you, though? Nicole leaned forward, her eyes sharp despite her smile. Tim and I have been talking, and we really think it's time to consider your options. You're getting older. Living alone isn't safe. I looked at my son, waiting for him to say something, to tell his wife that I was only 62, that I was healthy and independent, and perfectly capable of living in the house I'd owned for 40 years. But Tim just looked uncomfortable and changed the subject to paying the bill. When they got up to go pay, leaving me alone at the table, I felt this strange uneasiness settle over me. Something was very wrong. I just couldn't put my finger on what. That's when she appeared. A woman I'd never seen before, well-dressed but anxious, glancing over her shoulder like she was afraid of being followed. She moved quickly to my table and placed a blue velvet box in front of me, about the size of a jewelry box, with strange silver clasps. You'll need this tonight, she said urgently, her voice low. Your son is not who you think he is. Open this when you're alone and safe. Don't let them know you have it. Trust nothing they say. I opened my mouth to ask who she was, what she meant, but she was already walking away, disappearing into the lunch crowd, with one last fearful glance toward the counter where Tim and Nicole were paying. My heart was pounding as I quickly shoved the box into my handbag, hiding it just as Tim and Nicole returned to the table. They didn't notice anything wrong, or if they did, they didn't mention it. The drive home was worse than lunch. Nicole launched into this aggressive campaign about Willowbrook, with Tim supporting every single point she made. They'd already toured the facility. Without telling me, they had cost estimates. They'd done research on the best time to make the transition. And then Nicole said something that made my blood run cold. We could sell your house to cover the expenses since you won't need it anymore. That neighborhood is going downhill anyway. My house, the home Leonard and I bought 40 years ago, where I raised Tim, taught him to ride a bike in the driveway, measured his height on the kitchen door frame every birthday, where Leonard and I had planned to grow old together before cancer took him 3 years ago. They wanted to sell it like it was nothing more than a convenient pile of money. It makes sense, Mom, Tim said, and I noticed he wouldn't meet my eyes in the rearview mirror. You're getting older. You need help. We're just trying to do what's best for you. I didn't argue. Something told me not to. I just sat in the back seat, clutching my handbag with that mysterious blue box inside, and wondered when my son had started treating me like a burden instead of his mother. Once I got home, I sat at my kitchen table for hours, just staring at that box. The woman's words kept echoing in my mind. Your son is not who you think he is. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to throw the box away, pretend the whole strange encounter had never happened. But I couldn't shake the feeling that everything Nicole had said at lunch, all those lies about my failing memory, my confusion, my incompetence, had been leading somewhere, building towards something. At 11:30, I finally worked up the courage to open it. My hands shook as I undid the silver clasps. Inside, packed carefully in tissue paper, were stacks of documents, USB drives, and photographs. On top was a simple note. I'm sorry you have to learn the truth this way. Check the USB drive first, then read everything. You're in danger. They're planning to move against you this week. Someone who cares. I plugged the USB drive into my laptop with trembling fingers. What I found made me want to vomit. What I found changed everything. That's how I ended up here, at midnight, reading my son's letter about how easy it would be to steal everything from me. How trusting I was. How simple I'd be to manipulate and discard. And just as I'm beginning to process the full horror of what I'm seeing, my doorbell rings. Through the window, I see Tim's car in my driveway. It's nearly midnight. They never visit this late. Never. Then I hear Nicole's voice outside, sharp and clear. I saw her light on. She's still awake. Remember, act concerned. We need her to sign those papers tonight, if possible. My son is at my door, and he's not here to check on me. He's here to finish what they started. I freeze, staring at my laptop screen where the USB drive is still loading more files. The doorbell rings again, longer this time, more insistent. Tim's voice comes through the door, and I can hear that false note of concern that I've been hearing for months, without recognizing it for what it was. Mom, are you okay? We saw your light on and got worried. Can you let us in? My mind is racing. They can see my light. They know I'm awake. If I don't answer, they'll know something's wrong. But I can't let them in. Not until I see everything on this drive. Not until I know the full extent of what they've done. I'm fine, honey, I call out, proud that my voice sounds steady. Just getting ready for bed. It's late. Can we talk tomorrow? Silence. I can almost feel them looking at each other through the door, recalculating. Then Nicole's voice, sharper now, not bothering to soften it. She never refuses to let you in. Something's wrong. Tim again, louder this time. Mom, please open the door. We need to discuss something important. It can't wait. My laptop finally loads the first video file. The date stamp reads 3 months ago. I click play, and my hands fly to my mouth to stifle a gasp. It's security camera footage from what looks like Nicole and Tim's home office. Nicole sits at a desk covered in documents. Tim paces behind her, looking nervous, running his hands through his hair the way he's done since he was a little boy, whenever he was anxious about something. I've been practicing her signature for 6 months, Nicole says on the video, her voice cold and businesslike. Nothing like the sweet tone she uses with me. I can forge it perfectly now. Look. She slides a paper across the desk. Even on the grainy footage, I can see it's a power of attorney document. The signature at the bottom looks exactly like mine. I feel sick. Tim on the video stops pacing. I don't know, Nicole. This feels wrong. She's my mother. A mother who's sitting on a property worth $1.2 million in this market, Nicole snaps. A mother with $340,000 in savings and investments. Money that should be ours, Tim. We've earned it, dealing with her all these years. Do you want to wait until she's 90? Until she maybe decides to leave it all to some cat charity or her book club friends? I have to pause the video. $340,000. I had no idea my modest savings and Leonard's life insurance had grown to that much. Leonard had always handled the investments. After he died, I'd just let everything sit. Too grief-stricken to deal with financial planning. Outside, the knocking has become pounding. I force myself to keep watching. She wouldn't do that, Tim says weakly on the video. You don't know what she'd do. Nicole's face is twisted with frustration. She's getting old, Tim. Old people get confused. They make bad decisions. We're just helping things along. The memory care facility is perfect. Once she's there, with her declining mental state, properly documented by doctors we've already paid off, we become her legal guardians. Everything transfers to us. Clean, legal, simple. Paid off doctors. My hand shakes so badly, I can barely control the mouse. They've bribed doctors to diagnose me with dementia. Doctors I haven't even seen yet. Tim is quiet for a long moment on the video. I hold my breath, waiting for him to refuse, to tell Nicole this has gone too far. My son, my baby boy. Surely he won't. What about the neighbors? Tim asks. Her friends. People know she's fine. My heart shatters into 1,000 pieces. He's not objecting to the plan. He's just worried about getting caught. Nicole smiles, and it's the most horrible thing I've ever seen. We've been laying groundwork for 8 months, sweetie. Everyone we've talked to has heard us express concern about her forgetting things, getting confused, seeming disoriented. Mrs. Chen next door told me, just last week, she's noticed Maggie seems off lately. We plant seeds, Tim. That's all it takes. By the time we're ready to move her to Willowbrook, everyone will think it's the compassionate thing to do. 8 months. They've been planning this for 8 months. All those little comments, those concerned looks, those helpful suggestions about maybe seeing a doctor about my memory issues. It was all part of a calculated campaign to paint me as incompetent. The pounding on my door suddenly stops. I hear Tim's voice, muffled but clear. Yes, 911. I'm at my mother's house at 247 Maple Street. I'm very worried about her. She's not answering the door, and I can hear her inside moving around. She's 62 and has been showing signs of dementia. I'm concerned she might have hurt herself or be having some kind of episode. He's calling the police. On me. To force his way in. To make me look unstable and confused and in need of help. I can hear sirens in the distance already. The police station is only 5 blocks away. I have maybe 3 minutes before they arrive. My survival instinct kicks in. I yank the USB drive from my laptop and shove it in my pocket. I grab the blue box and all its contents, cramming documents into my handbag. At the bottom of the box, I find something I'd missed before. A burner phone with a single number programmed in. There's a sticky note attached. Call this when you're safe. Don't use your regular phone. He's been tracking it. Go somewhere they won't think to look. Tonight. Right now. Tracking my phone. Of course they have. Tim helped me set up my new phone last year after I dropped my old one. He'd been so helpful, so patient, showing me all the features, installing apps I needed. I feel like such a fool. Red and blue lights flash through my front window. Car doors slam. I hear official voices, Tim's worried son performance in full swing. Thank you for coming so quickly, officers. I'm just so worried about her. She's been declining for months, getting confused, forgetting things. My wife and I have been trying to get her help. But she gets so defensive whenever we bring it up. I move to my bedroom window and look down at the scene. 2 police cars, 4 officers. Tim standing there, looking appropriately distressed, and Nicole standing by their car, looking at her phone. Even from up here, I can see what's on her screen. A tracking app with a blue dot. The location label is visible in the streetlight. Margaret's phone, current location. They can see exactly where I am in my house. They've been tracking my every movement. For how long? Months? Years? I leave my regular phone on the bed and grab just my driver's license, some cash from my emergency drawer, and the blue box. My back door is in the kitchen, leading to the yard. There's a broken fence panel I've been meaning to fix. Bless that procrastination now. I can hear voices at my front door. Tim has a key. Of course he does. I gave it to him years ago for emergencies. I hear it turning in the lock. I slip out the back door as quietly as I can, leaving it unlocked behind me. Let them search the house. Let them find my phone on the bed. Let them think I've wandered off, confused and disoriented. Exactly the narrative they've been building. I squeeze through the broken fence panel into Mr. Patterson's yard. He's in Florida visiting his daughter. I remember because I've been collecting his mail. I cross his yard, then Mrs. Rodriguez's, then the Johnsons'. 3 houses down, I emerge onto the next street over, breathing hard, my heart hammering. I'm 62 years old, hiding in the dark like a criminal, running from my own son. The absurdity of it would be funny if it weren't so devastating. I walk quickly, staying in the shadows, heading away from my neighborhood. I don't have a destination in mind, I just need distance. 4 blocks later, I spot a 24-hour diner I've never been to before. Perfect. Somewhere Tim and Nicole wouldn't know about. Inside, it's nearly empty. Just a tired waitress and 2 truckers at the counter. I slide into a back booth, order coffee I don't want, and pull out the burner phone with shaking hands. I dial the only number programmed in. It rings once. A woman's voice answers, the same voice from the cafe. Thank God. Are you somewhere safe? Who are you? My voice cracks. Months of suppressed fear and confusion, finally breaking through. How do you know what they're doing to me? My name is Patricia Wells. I was your husband Leonard's estate attorney. Leonard's attorney? My mind spins. But that was 3 years ago. The estate was all settled. Not entirely. Her voice is gentle but urgent. Margaret, I've been trying to reach you for 3 months. Your phone goes straight to a full voicemail box. My emails bounce back. I finally realized Tim must have blocked my number and email address on your devices. Of course he did. Another layer of isolation. Another way to cut me off from anyone who might help me. Can you access email on that laptop? Patricia asks. I can. I set up a temporary email address using the diner's Wi-Fi and wait, my coffee growing cold, my whole body trembling. The email arrives. There's a video attachment. I click it, and my late husband's face fills the screen. Maggie, my love, Leonard says, and I have to bite my lip to keep from sobbing out loud in this diner. If Patricia is showing you this, it means I was right to worry. It means Tim and Nicole have made their move against you. Leonard looks tired in the video, but his eyes are sharp and determined. I realize this was filmed during those last months when he'd been so stressed, so focused on paperwork and legal documents. I'd thought he was just being thorough, planning for the future like responsible people do. I never imagined he was preparing for this. I'm so sorry, he continues, his voice heavy with regret. I'm sorry I won't be there to protect you. I'm sorry I saw this coming and couldn't stop it. He takes a shaky breath, and I can see the pain in his face. This is hurting him to record, but he's doing it anyway because he loves me, because he knew I'd need this. 2 years before I died, I overheard a conversation between Tim and Nicole. They were in our backyard and didn't know I was in the garage. Maggie, Nicole was pressuring Tim to speed up his inheritance. Those were her exact words. She'd done research on how to have elderly people declared incompetent. She talked about it like a business plan, like you were just an obstacle to their profit margin. I pressed my hand to my mouth. 2 years before Leonard died. That means this has been going on for 5 years. 5 years of planning, manipulating, positioning themselves to steal everything from me. I confronted Tim the next day, Leonard says. He denied everything. Said I'd misunderstood, that Nicole was just joking. But I saw it in his eyes, Maggie. He wasn't sorry I'd caught them. He was angry. Angry that I'd discovered their plan. Leonard leans closer to the camera, and I can see the fear and love mixed in his expression. So I took precautions. Everything I owned, the house, my investments, my life insurance, I put it all in an irrevocable trust with you as the sole beneficiary. Tim can't touch any of it unless you choose to give it to him. The house can't be sold without your explicit consent, verified in person by Patricia. Your signatures on any legal documents have to be witnessed by Patricia herself, in person. I made it bulletproof. A trust. Leonard created a trust. That's why all their forgeries, all their planning, wouldn't actually work. My husband protected me from beyond the grave. But Maggie, you need to understand something. Leonard's expression darkens. Nicole is dangerous. I hired a private investigator. She's done this before. My coffee cup freezes halfway to my lips. Her first husband's elderly mother signed over her entire estate to Nicole, then died in a suspicious fall at a care facility 6 months later. $2.3 million ruled accidental. Nicole inherited everything. Her second fiancé's father started asking questions about missing money, and she broke off that engagement immediately. Tim is husband number 3. You're target number 3. I feel like I'm going to be sick. Nicole has done this before. She's practiced at it. She knows exactly how to manipulate, how to isolate, how to make it look natural and compassionate when she destroys someone's life and takes everything they own. In the box Patricia gave you are copies of everything I found, Leonard continues. Bank records showing Nicole's pattern, private investigator reports, documented evidence of her previous victims. Everything you need. He pauses, and I see tears in his eyes now. I also set up a separate account in your name only at First National Bank. The account number is in the documents. I've been depositing money there monthly from my consulting work, money Tim didn't know about. It should have about $180,000 by now, money they can't touch, can't even find. $180,000. A secret account. I want to laugh and cry at the same time. Leonard, always thinking ahead, always protecting me. I'm sorry, sweetheart, Leonard says, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry our son became this person. I don't know where we went wrong. I don't know if it's something we did, or if Nicole brought it out in him, or if it was always there, waiting. But I need you to be strong now. He wipes his eyes and looks directly at the camera, directly at me. Don't let them gaslight you. Don't let them make you doubt yourself. You're not crazy. You're not declining. You're the sharpest, strongest person I know. Fight back, Maggie. Fight back and win. His expression hardens. And Maggie, don't trust Tim. I know he's our son, but he made his choice when he married her. He chose money over you. He chose her over family. I saw it happening and I couldn't stop it, but you can protect yourself. Please, please protect yourself. The video ends. I sit in the diner booth, tears streaming silently down my face. The waitress glances over with concern, but doesn't approach. God bless her for that. Patricia's voice comes through the phone, which I'd almost forgotten I was still holding. There's more, Margaret. We need to meet. I have evidence that Tim has already stolen over $80,000 from your joint accounts. He's been doing it for 18 months. Small amounts, nothing that would trigger immediate attention, but it adds up. $80,000 gone. Stolen by my own son while he smiled to my face and called me Mom. I contacted the police 2 weeks ago, Patricia continues. Detective Rodriguez has been building a case, but we needed you to know the truth first. We needed you safe. That's why I approached you at the cafe today. I was running out of time. They're planning to have you committed this week. I found the admission papers. They're dated for tomorrow. Tomorrow. If I hadn't gotten this box, if Patricia hadn't found me, by tomorrow night I'd be locked in Willowbrook, drugged and confused, while Tim and Nicole systematically stole everything Leonard worked his whole life to build. Don't react, Patricia says suddenly, urgently. Stay calm, but look toward the diner entrance. I look up, and my entire body goes ice cold. Nicole's car is pulling into the parking lot. She's driving, scanning the area methodically, like a predator searching for prey. Tim is in the passenger seat, his phone pressed to his ear. How did they find me? I whisper. I left my phone at home. Your laptop, Patricia says grimly. Tim helped you set it up last year, didn't he? Of course. The laptop sitting right here on the table, in front of me. Location sharing enabled. He's been tracking everything. My phone, my laptop, probably my car too. I've been leaving a digital trail everywhere I go. Nicole's head turns slowly, systematically checking each window of the diner. Then her eyes lock on mine through the glass. For just a moment, her mask drops completely. I see pure rage in her expression. Calculation. The look of someone whose carefully constructed plan is falling apart. Then, just as quickly, the concerned daughter-in-law mask slides back into place. She smiles, that terrible smile, and reaches for her phone. She's calling someone. Police. More lies about my confused state? Or something worse. Margaret, listen to me, Patricia says. Detective Rodriguez is 15 minutes away. He's been waiting for my call. Stay in that diner. Stay around people. Do not go anywhere alone with them. But even as she's saying this, Tim and Nicole are getting out of the car. They're walking toward the diner entrance with purpose. Tim looks genuinely worried. I can still read my son's face, even after everything. But Nicole's expression is harder to read now. Determined, almost desperate. The diner door opens. They walk straight to my booth. Every instinct screams at me to run, but Patricia's words echo in my head. Stay around people. Nicole slides into the booth across from me, Tim standing awkwardly beside her. For a moment, nobody speaks. The waitress watches from behind the counter, sensing tension. Mom, Tim finally says, his voice tight with forced casualness. You scared us half to death. Why did you run? The police said you climbed through the back fence. You could have hurt yourself. I look at my son, really look at him. When did he learn to lie so smoothly? When did he become someone who could steal from his own mother and then act concerned about her safety? Why were you tracking my laptop, Tim? I ask quietly. My voice is steady, which surprises me. Why did you block my attorney's phone number and emails? I watch his face carefully. There, a flicker of surprise, quickly hidden. His eyes dart to Nicole, just for a second. That tells me everything. Nicole's hand moves to Tim's arm, squeezes. A warning, but I see it. I don't know what you're talking about, Tim says, but his voice wavers slightly. What attorney? Patricia Wells, your father's estate lawyer. The woman who gave me this box today at the cafe. I place my hand on the blue velvet box sitting on the table between us. The woman who showed me video evidence of you and Nicole planning to steal everything from me. The woman who showed me proof that you've already stolen $80,000. That you've forged my signature. That you're planning to have me declared mentally incompetent and locked away so you can take my house, my money, everything your father and I built. The diner has gone completely silent. The truckers at the counter have turned to watch. The waitress has her phone out. Whether to call police or just record the drama, I don't know. Nicole's mask cracks, just slightly. That's absurd, she says, but her voice is sharper now, losing that sugary sweetness. Tim, your mother is clearly having some kind of paranoid episode. This is exactly what we've been worried about. Maybe we should call Dr. Morrison. The doctor you paid $15,000 to diagnose me with dementia? I interrupt. I found the payment records, Nicole. I found everything. Tim's face has gone pale. He looks between me and Nicole, and I can see something shifting in his expression. Confusion. Maybe even the first hint of doubt. Mom, please, he says, and for just a second, he sounds like my little boy again. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in months, I say. I watch my son's face as the reality of what I know settles over him. His mouth opens, closes. He looks lost, and part of me, the part that's still just his mother, wants to comfort him. But I can't. Not anymore. All those times you said I forgot things, I continue, keeping my voice steady. I didn't forget, Tim. You lied. The stove was never left on. I never missed your birthday. I sent a card and called you, but you pretended you never got them. I was never confused about bills. You invented all of it to make me doubt myself, to make everyone else doubt me. You can't prove any of that, Nicole says, and now her voice is cold, hard. The mask is slipping further. It's your word against ours. And frankly, Maggie, you're a lonely old widow with no witnesses, making wild accusations against your devoted son and daughter-in-law who've been nothing but concerned about your welfare. Who do you think people will believe? She gestures around the diner at our small audience. Look at yourself. It's 1 a.m, and you're hiding in a diner, clutching a mysterious box, claiming your family is trying to steal from you. You sound paranoid. You sound exactly like someone who needs professional help. It's a good performance. I can see the waitress's expression shift slightly, uncertainty creeping in. Nicole knows how to play this. She's had practice. I think they'll believe bank records, I say quietly. Forged signatures that don't quite match when examined by experts. Video evidence of you discussing your plan in detail. And most of all, I think they'll believe your history, Nicole. She goes very still. Tim looks at her confused. What history? Your wife didn't tell you about Rebecca Chen? I ask my son, watching his face carefully. About the $2.3 million inheritance? About the suspicious fall at the care facility? Tim turns to Nicole. What is she talking about? It was nothing, Nicole snaps. An accident. The woman was 91 years old. She fell. It happens. 6 months after signing everything over to you, I say. Just like you're planning for me. Except your father made sure. I'm protected, Tim. Everything is in an irrevocable trust. You can't touch the house. You can't access the real money. All you've managed to steal is $80,000 from my checking account. I lean forward, holding my son's eyes. Was it worth it, Tim? Was it worth destroying your mother for $80,000? For a plan that was never going to work anyway, because your father saw through both of you years ago? Something breaks in Tim's expression. The trust, he whispers. That's why you kept insisting we needed her to sign new documents, Nicole. That's why the house transfer kept getting rejected. You knew about the trust. Of course I knew about the trust. Nicole's composure finally shatters. That's why we needed her declared incompetent. It's the only way to challenge it. But we needed time. We needed documentation. We needed everyone to see her declining so it would hold up in court. She realizes too late what she's just admitted. In front of witnesses. The truckers at the counter are definitely recording now. I can see phone cameras pointed our direction. Tim stares at his wife like he's never seen her before. You knew we couldn't actually get the money. You knew the whole time. We could have gotten it eventually, Nicole hisses. With the right legal strategy, with her safely tucked away where she couldn't interfere, with enough time to build a case that Leonard was mentally compromised when he created that trust. But we needed her compliant first. We needed her to stop being so stubbornly independent. The forgeries, Tim says slowly, his voice hollow. You said she'd actually signed those documents. You showed me her signature, said she'd done it during one of her confused moments, and just didn't remember. Oh, grow up, Tim. Nicole stands abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. You knew exactly what we were doing. You wanted the money just as much as I did. Don't pretend to be innocent now, just because she caught us. I thought she was actually declining, Tim says, and his voice cracks. You showed me examples. The missed appointments that you scheduled without telling me. The bills you marked as unpaid when she'd already paid them. The concerned calls from neighbors that you arranged. I thought it was real, Nicole. He looks at me and I see my son, my real son, for the first time in years. The confusion, the guilt, the horror of what he's been part of. Mom, You stole from me, I say simply. Maybe Nicole orchestrated it. Maybe she manipulated you. But you made the choice to believe her lies about me instead of trusting your own mother. You made the choice to forge my signature. You made the choice to block my attorney's number. Those were your choices, Tim. The diner door opens and Detective Rodriguez walks in with 2 uniformed officers. Patricia Wells is right behind them. Nicole sees them and makes a split-second decision. She bolts for the back exit. She doesn't. Make it 3 steps before an officer intercepts her. Nicole Brennan, Detective Rodriguez says calmly, professionally. You're under arrest for fraud, forgery, elder abuse, and conspiracy to commit theft. You have the right to remain silent. Nicole screams. Actually screams, thrashing against the officer, trying to cuff her. You can't prove anything. Tim, tell them your mother is confused, that she's making this up. But Tim just stands there, frozen, watching his wife's complete breakdown with an expression of absolute devastation. We have video evidence, Mrs. Brennan. The detective continues, unruffled by her outburst. We have bank records. We have testimony from Dr. Morrison about the bribes you offered him. And we're currently in contact with authorities in 3 other states regarding suspicious deaths and inheritances connected to your previous marriages. 3 other states. Not just Rebecca Chen. How many people has Nicole done this to? As the officers begin to escort Nicole toward the door, she stops fighting. She goes completely still, then turns to look at me. The rage in her expression is terrifying. You stupid old woman, she says, her voice venomous. You were supposed to be easy, grateful for the attention, too trusting to see it coming, just like Rebecca, just like Margaret Sutherland in Ohio, just like Dorothy Hayes in Pennsylvania. But you had to have a smart husband, didn't you? Had to have protections in place. She's confessing. To multiple victims. In front of police and witnesses. She's so angry, she's lost all control. You've ruined everything, she shrieks as they pull her toward the door. 5 years of planning. 5 years of playing the devoted daughter-in-law. Do you know how hard it was to pretend to care about your boring stories and your pathetic little life? I deserve that money. I earned it. The officers finally get her outside. Through the window, I can see them putting her in the patrol car, still screaming, her face twisted with fury. Detective Rodriguez approaches our booth. Mrs. Brennan, I'm sorry you had to go through this. I need to take your statement, but first, he turns to Tim, Mr. Brennan, I need you to come to the station as well. Am I under arrest? Tim asks quietly. The detective hesitates. We're still determining the extent of your involvement versus your wife's manipulation. But yes, you'll need to be questioned about the forgeries and the theft from your mother's accounts. Tim nods slowly. He looks at me, and tears are streaming down his face. Mom, I need you to know something. I didn't know about the other people, about Rebecca Chen, about any of it. I swear. But you knew you were stealing from me, I say. He flinches like I've struck him. Yes, I knew that. I knew it was wrong. Nicole kept saying. She made it sound like we were just moving up a timeline, like you'd want us to have it anyway, eventually. She said you'd be happier at Willowbrook, that we were actually helping you. Did you believe that? I ask. Really? His silence is answer enough. Finally. No, not entirely. But I wanted to believe it, because believing it meant I wasn't becoming everything Dad warned me I was becoming. Your father knew, I tell him. Before he died, he knew what you were planning. Fresh tears spill down Tim's face. I know. He confronted me about it. We had this terrible fight. I said horrible things to him, Mom. I accused him of being controlling, of not trusting me, of trying to keep us from having what we deserved. The last real conversation we had, I told him I didn't need his approval or his money. He's sobbing now, right there in the diner. And then he had his heart attack 3 weeks later. I've wondered every day since if I caused it. If the stress of knowing what I was planning, of trying to protect you from his own son, if that's what killed him. I don't answer because I've wondered the same thing. Those last months, Leonard was so stressed, so focused on legal documents and trusts and protections. Was it the betrayal that broke his heart? Literally. I'm sorry, Tim chokes out. I know it doesn't fix anything. I know sorry isn't nearly enough. But Mom, I am so sorry. Detective Rodriguez gently takes Tim's arm. We need to go, Mr. Brennan. As they lead my son away, he looks back at me one last time. I love you, Mom. I know I have no right to say that anymore. I know I destroyed any right to your love. But I need you to know that somewhere under all the greed and stupidity and weakness, I still love you. Then he's gone, and I'm sitting alone in the diner booth with Patricia Wells sliding in across from me. You did it, she says softly. You got the confession on record. Multiple witnesses, video evidence. The case against both of them is solid now. I should feel triumphant, vindicated. But all I feel is hollow and sad and impossibly tired. Patricia sits across from me, giving me a moment to collect myself. The diner has mostly emptied now. The truckers left after giving their contact information to the police. The waitress is cleaning tables, but keeps glancing over with a mixture of sympathy and curiosity. What happens now? I finally ask. Patricia pulls out a folder from her briefcase. Now we secure everything. The district attorney will want your full cooperation for the prosecution. Tim is looking at 5 to 10 years for the fraud and forgery alone. Nicole, she pauses. Nicole is going to be charged federally. The FBI has been building a case since I contacted them 3 weeks ago. They've identified at least 4 other victims across 3 states. Elderly people who died under suspicious circumstances after signing over their assets to her. 4 other victims. 4 other families destroyed. 4 other people who trusted Nicole and paid for it with everything they had. Will they prosecute Tim as harshly? I hear myself ask, and I hate that part of me still wants to protect him. Patricia's expression softens. That depends on several factors. His level of cooperation, evidence of Nicole's manipulation versus his willing participation. The fact that he ultimately didn't succeed in the larger plan because of Leonard's protections, that might work in his favor. But Margaret, he did steal $80,000 from you. He did forge your signature. Those are serious crimes. I know all of that, but he's still my son. The little boy who used to bring me dandelions from the yard and call them flowers. The teenager who cried in my arms when his first girlfriend broke his heart. The young man who was so proud when he got into architecture school. When did that person disappear? Or was he always capable of this? And I just never wanted to see it. There's something else, Patricia says gently. The police searched Tim and Nicole's house. They found documents showing they'd taken out a second mortgage on their own property. They're in debt for over $300,000, credit cards maxed out, business loans coming due. I stare at her. $300,000? Nicole has expensive tastes, and apparently a gambling problem they'd been hiding. They were desperate, Margaret. That doesn't excuse what they did, but it explains the urgency. They weren't just greedy, they were drowning. I think about Tim's face in that video, his nervousness, his weak protests. I think about how Nicole steamrolled over every objection. My son was weak, but he was also cornered. She knew exactly how to manipulate someone who is desperate. I need to see the house, I say suddenly. My house. I need to go home. Patricia nods. The police have finished processing it. You can go back tonight if you want. I'll drive you. 20 minutes later, we pull up to my house. The police tape is gone, but I can see signs of their search. Curtains slightly askew. The front door not quite closed all the way. My neighbors' houses are dark. It's nearly 3 in the morning. Inside, everything looks the same, but feels different. This is the house where I raised my son, where Leonard and I built our life together, where we celebrated birthdays and Christmases and quiet Sunday mornings. Now it feels tainted somehow, violated by what was planned within these walls. Patricia hands me a new phone, completely clean, new number. I've already programmed in my number, Detective Rodriguez's number, and the bank's fraud department. Your old number has been disconnected. She sets down another folder, this one thick with documents. These are copies of everything. The trust documents Leonard created, the bank account information for your protected funds, $183,000 as of this morning. Leonard was careful, Margaret. Everything is in your name only. Ironclad protections. I open the folder with shaking hands. There's a letter inside in Leonard's handwriting, not typed, actually written by hand. It's dated 2 weeks before he died. My dearest Maggie. If you're reading this, it means my worst fears came true. It means Tim and Nicole actually went through with their plan. I'm so sorry I couldn't stop them. I'm sorry I couldn't save our son from himself. But I could save you. And I did. Everything we built together is protected. The house, the money, all of it. They can't touch any of it without your explicit verified consent. Patricia has instructions to fight any attempt to challenge the trust. I've paid her retainer for the next 10 years. I know you're hurting right now. I know you're probably wondering where you went wrong as a mother. You didn't, sweetheart. You were perfect. You gave that boy everything. This isn't your failure. It's his. You're 62 years old. You have so much life ahead of you. Don't let this destroy you. Don't let their betrayal make you bitter or closed off. You're the kindest, strongest, most loving person I've ever known. The world needs more of that, not less. Live, Maggie. Really live. Travel to all those places we talked about but never got to. Reconnect with your old friends. Take that watercolor class you always wanted to try. Spend money on yourself for once, instead of saving every penny for a son who didn't deserve your sacrifice. And if you can find it in your heart, forgive him someday. Not for his sake. For yours. Carrying that anger will hurt you more than it hurts him. I'm not saying forget. I'm not saying let him back into your life, but forgive him so you can be free. I love you more than words can say. I'm sorry I can't be there to hold you through this, but I'm always with you, sweetheart. Always. Yours forever. Leonard. I read it 3 times, tears streaming down my face, before I can fold it, and tuck it carefully back into the folder. Patricia tactfully busies herself with organizing documents, giving me privacy for my grief. He really did think of everything, I finally say. He spent 6 months with our firm, working out every possible scenario, Patricia tells me. He was terrified for you, but he was also confident you'd survive this. He believed in you, Margaret. I look around my living room, my home, my sanctuary that almost became my prison. What do I do now? Patricia smiles. Whatever you want, that's the point. You're completely free to live your life however you choose. Over the next few days, the story breaks in the news. Local woman targeted in elaborate elder abuse scheme. Nicole's previous victims are identified. Families come forward with their suspicions that were never investigated. The FBI traces her pattern back even further than they initially thought. 7 victims over 12 years, possibly more. Tim cooperates fully with the investigation. His lawyer negotiates a plea deal. 3 years in prison, full restitution of the $80,000, permanent restraining order from me unless I explicitly request contact. The prosecutor tells me Tim's cooperation is helping build a much stronger case against Nicole. I don't visit him before his sentencing. I don't take his calls. I'm not ready. Maybe I never will be. Nicole goes to trial and is convicted on 14 counts of fraud, elder abuse, and in Rebecca Chen's case, involuntary manslaughter. She gets 25 years. During her sentencing, she shows no remorse. She actually glares at me from across the courtroom, like I'm the one who wronged her. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my living room, the living room I almost lost, with coffee and the morning paper. There's a travel brochure on my coffee table. Patricia convinced me to book a trip to Ireland, something Leonard and I had always dreamed of doing. My doorbell rings. I'm cautious now in ways I never used to be, but I check the security camera I had installed. It's Mrs. Chen from next door, holding a casserole dish. I open the door. "Helen, I owe you an apology," she says immediately. "They told me you were declining, and I believed them. I should have talked to you directly instead of gossiping with Nicole. I'm so sorry, Margaret." I take the casserole dish. They were convincing. They fooled a lot of people. Still, she looks genuinely distressed. "You've been my neighbor for 30 years. I should have known better." We talk for a while. Really talk, for the first time in months. After she leaves, I realize I'm smiling. It's a small thing, but it matters. One relationship repaired. One connection restored. That evening, my new phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. "Mom?" Tim's voice is rough, uncertain. "They gave me my one call before I have to report to the facility. I know you probably don't want to talk to me. I understand if you hang up. But I needed to try." I should hang up. Patricia advised me to cut all contact, but I don't. "I'm listening," I say. "I'm listening," I say. There's a long silence on the other end. I can hear Tim breathing, can almost feel him gathering courage to speak. "I don't expect forgiveness," he finally says. "I don't deserve it, but I need you to know that these past 6 months, I've had time to really understand what I did. Not just the theft or the forgery, but the betrayal. You worked 2 jobs to raise me alone, Mom. You sacrificed everything so I could have opportunities you never had. And I repaid you by trying to steal from you and lock you away." His voice breaks. "I've been in therapy. Court-ordered at first, but I kept going because I needed to understand how I became this person, how I let Nicole convince me that you were the problem, that you were standing in the way of what we deserved." "And what did you learn?" I ask quietly. "That I was weak," he says. "That I wanted the easy life Nicole promised more than I wanted to be a good person. That when she started showing me those big houses we couldn't afford, those expensive trips we couldn't take, I started resenting you for not dying sooner so I could have your money. The honesty is brutal, painful, But maybe that's what we need. The raw truth, not more comfortable lies. I actually thought those things, Mom, Tim continues, his voice thick with shame. I looked at you and thought, why is she living in that big house alone when we're crammed into a condo? Like you didn't earn that house. Like you didn't deserve to live in the home you and Dad built together. I dehumanized you. I turned you into an obstacle instead of my mother. I close my eyes, absorbing this. It hurts to hear, but it's real. No excuses. No blaming Nicole for everything. Just Tim taking ownership of his choices. The worst part, he whispers, is that I knew Dad saw through us. I knew he was trying to protect you, and I hated him for it. When he died, part of me was actually relieved, because I thought it meant the plan could move forward without his interference. What kind of person thinks that about their own father's death? A person who lost his way, I say softly. I lost more than my way, Mom. I lost my soul. I became exactly the kind of person you and Dad raised me not to be. He takes a shaky breath. I report to the prison in 3 hours. 3 years. And honestly, I'm grateful for it. I need time away from the world, away from temptation, away from everything. I need to figure out how to be someone you could be proud of again. Even if you never want to see me. Even if you never forgive me. I sit with his words, feeling the weight of them. This is my son. Not the greedy stranger who stole from me. Not the weak man who let Nicole manipulate him. But also not the innocent boy I raised. He's someone in between. Someone who did terrible things, but is trying to face what he's done. Tim, I say carefully, I don't know if I can forgive you yet. I don't know if I ever will. What you did, it broke something in me. It made me doubt myself, doubt my judgment, doubt whether I was even competent to live in my own home. That kind of damage doesn't heal quickly. I know, he says, I know, Mom. But, I continue, I'm glad you're facing the truth. I'm glad you're not making excuses or blaming everything on Nicole. That's a start. Not toward us having a relationship again, I can't promise that, but toward you becoming a better person. That's all I can ask for, he says quietly, more than I deserve. There's another long silence. Then Tim speaks again, his voice barely a whisper. Will you do something for me? Not for me, for Dad. What? Live the life he wanted for you. Go to Ireland, take that watercolor class. Stop sacrificing and saving and putting yourself last. He told me once, years ago, that you'd given up so much for me, and someday he hoped you'd get to be selfish, to live for yourself. Please do that. Please don't let what I did make you afraid to live. I feel tears on my cheeks. I'm working on it. Good. That's good. I hear an announcement in the background on his end. I have to go. They're calling everyone to check in. Tim? Yes. Don't write to me, I say. Not yet. I'm not ready for that. But maybe someday, after you've done your time, after you've proven you've actually changed, maybe then we can talk about what comes next. Okay, he says, and I can hear the hope mixed with understanding in his voice. Okay, Mom. Thank you for even giving me that much. Thank you for listening. Goodbye, Tim. Goodbye, Mom. I love you. The line goes dead before I can decide whether to say it back. I sit there for a long time, holding the phone, crying for everything that was lost and broken, for the son I raised and the man he became, for the trust that was shattered, for the innocence I can never get back. But I'm also crying for the possibility, distant and uncertain, that maybe someday something new could grow from these ruins. Not the relationship we had. That's gone forever. But perhaps something honest, built on truth instead of the comfortable fiction that we were a perfect family. 3 years later, I'm standing in my garden, transplanting the roses I finally got around to planting. The Ireland trip was everything Leonard hoped it would be. I've been back twice since. The watercolor class turned into a weekly art group that meets at my house. I've reconnected with old friends and made new ones. The house is still mine. My sanctuary, not my prison. I've redecorated Leonard's office into an art studio. I've learned to live with the memories without letting them haunt me. Mrs. Chen and I have coffee every Tuesday. She introduced me to her book club, and I joined the neighborhood watch committee. I'm building a life that's mine, not centered on sacrifice for others, but on joy for myself. My phone rings. It's Patricia. Margaret, I wanted to give you a heads up. Tim is being released next week. Early release for good behavior and completion of all the therapy programs. My stomach tightens. Is he planning to contact me? He asked me to tell you that he won't, not unless you want him to. He's moving to Oregon, took a job with an architecture firm there. Fresh start, far from here. But he wanted you to know he's out, in case you see it in the news, or hear it from someone else. Thank you for telling me. There's something else, Patricia says gently. He wanted me to give you a letter. I have it here. No pressure to read it. I can shred it if you prefer, but he asked me to pass it along. I think about it. 3 years ago, I told him not to write. But 3 years have passed. I've healed. I've built a new life. Maybe I'm strong enough now to read whatever he has to say. Send it, I tell her. I'll decide what to do with it when it arrives. The letter comes 2 days later. I leave it on my kitchen counter for a week, just looking at it. Finally, on a quiet Sunday morning, I open it. Dear Mom, Patricia told me you agreed to receive this letter. Thank you for that. I've spent 3 years thinking about what I wanted to say to you, and I've written and thrown away dozens of versions of this letter. In the end, I realized the only thing worth saying is this: I'm sorry, and I've changed. I know I'm sorry isn't enough. I know I've changed are just words until proven by actions, but they're true words. In prison, I had time to really examine my life. I read Dad's letter, the one Patricia showed me during the investigation. He said he didn't know where he went wrong with me, but Mom, he didn't go wrong. You didn't go wrong. You both did everything right. I'm the one who chose badly. I chose to value money over people. I chose to let Nicole's ambitions corrupt my judgment. I chose to betray the 2 people who loved me most in the world. Those were my choices, and I own them. I've completed every therapy program available. I've worked with a counselor who specializes in financial abuse. I've faced what I did and why I did it. I understand now that I was looking for shortcuts to success, wanting the life I thought I deserved without earning it. I'm moving to Oregon next week. I took a job with a small firm. Nothing fancy, but honest work. I'm starting over, Mom, building a life based on integrity instead of greed. Living within my means. Being the person you and Dad tried to raise. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness or for a place back in your life. I know I destroyed any right to either of those things. I'm writing to tell you that your sacrifice wasn't wasted. It took me losing everything to finally learn the lessons you tried to teach me, but I learned them. I hope you're living the life Dad wanted for you. I hope you're happy. I hope you're free from the fear and doubt that I caused. You deserve all the joy in the world. If you ever want to talk, Patricia has my contact information. If you never want to hear from me again, I understand that too. Either way, know that I'm grateful for everything you gave me, and I'm sorry for everything I took. With love and remorse. Tim. I read the letter twice, then fold it carefully and put it in the drawer with Leonard's letter. I don't know if I'll ever respond. I don't know if I'll ever be ready to have Tim back in my life in any capacity. But for the first time in 3 years, I feel something shift in my chest. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of peace. The understanding that Tim's choices were his own, that his failures weren't my failures, that I can let go of the anger without letting him back in. I pick up my phone and text Patricia. Letter received. Tell him I read it. That's all for now. Then I set the phone down and walk to my art studio. I have a painting to finish, a landscape of the Irish countryside, all green hills and grey skies and possibility. Outside my window, I can see Mrs. Chen working in her garden. The mailman waves as he passes. A neighborhood kid rides by on his bike. Life goes on, ordinary and beautiful. I pick up my paintbrush and add a splash of color to the sky. Not gray, but the pale gold of early morning. A new day, a new beginning. I'm 65 years old. I survived my son's betrayal. I survived the attempt to steal everything I had. I survived, and I'm living, really living, for the first time in years. Maybe someday I'll be ready to talk to Tim again. Maybe I won't. But either way, I'll be okay. Because I'm not defined by what he did to me. I'm defined by what I chose to do afterward. I chose to live, and that, I realize as I paint, is the greatest victory of all.